For God's sake, how much more carnage are we willing to accept? How many more innocent American lives must be taken before we say enough?
There's Joe Biden speaking about, again, our constant gun problem in this country. For God's sake, when are we gonna do something? Sounds pretty strong. Of course, that's after Uvalde, Texas, and also in Buffalo with those mass shooters. Sounded pretty strong there. That was right before he then went ahead to talk about how he's not gonna be so strong. Continue.
I know that we can't prevent every tragedy, but here's what I believe we have to do. We need to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. And if we can't ban assault weapons, then we should raise the age to purchase them from 18 to 21. Strengthen background checks, enact safe storage law and red flag laws. Repeal the immunity that protects gun manufacturers from liability.
There's a whole bunch of ideas right after he said, we got to do something about these assault weapons. And if we can't do that because somebody should talk to the president, maybe we can do these other things that you guys will say no to as well. Let's go to some of the details here because he wants to support this bipartisan effort to do something. He's trying to bring some unity to the country. So let's look at this. The House Judiciary Committee on Thursday, the House in Congress approved a wide-ranging package of gun control legislation called the Protecting Our Kids Act. The measure is not expected to pass the Senate, however, amid widespread GOP opposition to stricter gun control. A bipartisan group of senators is engaging in talks in an attempt to find common ground on gun policy, but it's unclear what, if anything, will come of that effort. And the reason why they mentioned that over at CNN, if anything will come of that effort, is because we've heard this story before, constantly, over and over again about, hey, we're gonna do this bipartisan effort. And so Biden says something like, for God's sake, when are we gonna do something about this? And there were some congressmen and women that came out and said, how dare he use the Lord's name in vain like this? This is the unity that they're looking to maybe bring about with other folks. So do you think if they're saying he's using the Lord's name in vain by saying in God's name, when are we gonna do something about this? Do you think they're gonna be serious about doing anything as far as gun legislation?
By the way, let me just be clear. Every Republican that made that point is a joke, doesn't care anything about God or is not at all moral. So, 19 kids are in the ground. You don't give a damn about that. But you use the Lord's name in vain. Is that what we're worried about? The etiquette with God? Is that what we're worried about? Okay, hey, watch your grammar. There's 19 dead kids, but watch your grammar with God. That's what the main issue is? No, look, that's why this speech, it was better than his first one. His first one was a joke. He came out and he's like, I feel bad, don't worry, we're not gonna do anything. He didn't propose any legislation and went home. This is his second kind of redo. The good news about this speech is he actually proposed real legislation. The bad news is you saw it with your own eyes there. He's like, now, of course, that's not gonna happen. And once we lose on that, no, that's not how you do a speech. That's not how you show strength. Can you imagine if FDR came out and said, now look, in case we can't get Social Security done, okay? Or in case we can't beat the Japanese or the Germans, maybe we'll beat Spain or something. I don't know, right? No, that's terrible. And then what's worse is then he's like, all right, now we need bipartisan support. On which planet? What are you talking about? Because he's incapable of criticizing Republicans. In fact, there's a giant article we'll talk about in a second where CNN talked to a bunch of people in the White House, and even his own team is complaining. He just loves Republicans too much. He said in that speech, he was like, I'm looking for 10 Republicans. 10 Republicans? Which 10 Republicans are gonna be for any gun control? Hello, Earth to Biden, none of them are in favor of it. Snap out of it already, Jesus Christ. That in order for that speech to be useful, what he would have said is, well, here's our gun proposals, and here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get rid of the filibuster, and if I have to break Manchin and Sinema's legs to do it, I'm gonna do it, okay? And I'm not gonna lie to you and pretend, by the way, proverbially, politically, of course, all right? But I'm not gonna sit around and go, oh golly, I hope 10 Republicans all of a sudden care about kids' lives. They don't care, Joe. Stop being a schmuck.
Without ending the filibuster, what else we need to be talking about is the amount of money that is being funneled in to our political leadership. And I find it disgusting that after Sandy Hook, the amount of money from gun lobbyists spiked dramatically. I mean, we have to start addressing why we can't get the will of the people done. And across party lines, majority of Americans are in favor for gun safety regulation. And it's the same thing with healthcare. And as someone who has lost a child, I mean, when I saw this was just so heartbreaking to me, knowing the amount of immense pain of an unnecessary death of a child, befalls a parent. I also reminisce back to when I was in grief groups with other parents who lost their children. I can't tell you how many of them had lost children to gun violence, and whether it was because people hadn't locked away their guns, or it was the fact that they were involved in some kind of event that involved gun violence. The immense pain that is permeating from a lack of bold leadership and an inability to detach corporations and gun lobbyists away from our politicians' pocketbooks, it actually leaves us, the American people, with no voice. And we are not able to compete financially with all of these special interest groups.
Well, this is the thing, and maybe it comes from the messaging. As we're pointing out, Cenk was talking about maybe Biden needs to do something, say something a certain way, and go after the right folks. But in order for that to happen, there's a lot of people that work within the administration trying to figure out messaging, just messaging, because we have to hear the way he goes about this, because he's going to get attacked seemingly no matter what. Let's go to details of how there's a bit of infighting going on with exactly how to convey some of these messages. So aides have the same internal meetings over and over, insisting that they need to change up their whole approach to how they're using Biden, and then each time watch as nothing happens. Older aides dismiss the younger aides as being too caught up in the tweet by tweet thinking they say lost the 2020 election for everyone else. Younger aides give up. What's the point of working up innovative ideas, they ask themselves, if the ideas constantly get knocked down and the aides get looked down on for suggesting them? So also Biden is supposedly, he has more than 70 people on staff that's managing his social media accounts, tweeting out, and I don't know if he's on Instagram, but definitely tweeting out the things that he wants to say and all those types of things, but they're struggling to make a strong image of him in the face of all the other imagery of him. So more on that. The country is pulling itself apart. Pandemic infections keep coming. Inflation keeps rising. A new crisis on top of new crisis arrives daily, and Biden can't see a way to address that while also being the looser, excuse me, Freudian slip there. Yeah. Looser, happier, more sympathetic, lovingly onion parody inspiring, aviator wearing, vanilla chip, cone licking guy. He has to speak to very serious things. That was explained by one White House aide. And also, and you can't do that getting ice cream. So they're concerned about the way he's looking and what's coming off. Also, aides regularly talk about how little traction they're getting from one-off Biden appearances or events, and then whether on inflation, the baby formula shortage, or mass shootings, or the other crises that are landing on Biden's desk, he's often left looking like he's in a reactive crouch on the issues that matter most to voters, rather than setting this agenda. So it's getting all this frustration from many aides that are talking about the old ones versus the young ones, and how they're gonna get this messaging across. Well, what they agree on in the White House, at least recently, is that Biden's chances of breaking through go up massively the more he picks fights with Republicans. I'm gonna say that again. Biden's chances of breaking through go up massively the more that he picks fights with Republicans. They also agree that they're being held back by the president's own reluctance to hit harder, steeped in both his attempt to push America back to what he insists can't be a bygone era of cooperation, and his sense that a president shouldn't get petty. Now, today he did do something that made some of the aides happy, and also bragged about this economic success that they're having. But then again, I want to point out, just from that one little part, he said picking fights with Republicans in order to make sure that they know what's happening. It's not even picking fights. Even that wording, I think, is a little bit off before we get to what they were talking about with economic details.
Yeah, guys, look, the patient zero is Biden himself. So, I mean, look at all the things he's doing wrong. First of all, he thinks that media is just the newspaper headlines. Hello, the 1950s or 30s called, and they'd like their time period back, and these primetime shows like CBS Evening News or something. Yeah, I mean, a lot of older Americans watch that, but that doesn't set the agenda at all. And the things that do set the agenda are honestly social media. And he's like, oh no, that's for the kids. Nobody cares about that. Yeah, Bernie tried that and he lost. Nah, I'm not gonna do social media. Nah. But then at the same time, he has 70 people working on it. And all they do is the most bland tweets you've ever seen. It has no life, no soul. It doesn't get any traction at all because Biden doesn't believe in it. Here, fair is fair. Trump whooped his ass on social media and on Twitter, and he did it himself. You could tell from the misspellings, the covfefes, the nonsensical capitalizations, etc. Trump did better than Biden's team of 70, putting out vanilla after vanilla after vanilla. And then their takeaway from that is he's not eating enough vanilla ice cream. Oh, okay. You got to get him back out there. He's so folksy. People don't care about folksy. They care if you pass paid family leave, child tax credit, $15 minimum wage. They don't give a damn about your stupid old folksy PR from the 1990s and the 1970s. Snap out of it, but as you saw in the last quote, he's never, ever, ever going to snap out of it. Picking fights with the Republicans ripped your face off 10,000 times already. Can you put your face back on? Oh, no. I think he refuses to believe that we're past the era of cooperation. He's waiting for the Republicans to agree with him. Oh, no, he's patient zero. With a president like that, who's never gonna fight for himself or for you, of course we're gonna be in this endless series of political disasters, get absolutely nothing done. As I told you a long time ago, Biden's term's already over. He's not even trying. He will pass nothing going forward, nothing at all.
Yeah, I found that when I was reading this, that it really highlighted to me how out of touch his entire administration is, and the people who are actually, his consulting him on how to actually reach out to people. Listen, the American people are hurting. They're suffering. Many have lost their businesses. They cannot find affordable housing. Owning a home is just a dream. Our climate is on the verge of collapse. Here in Las Vegas, we're literally running out of water. These are the issues that are on their minds. Healthcare. And if you can't speak and you don't know how to use the internet or Twitter or whatever, here's how you can get approval from the American people. Actually deliver on the things you promised when you were running for office. We can start with the bare minimum, which is not where we need to be, but you said you're gonna fight for at least having some form of health care that everyone could be able to get access to, right? Or to going through on your promise of eliminating student debt. Promise after promise, we're told that, oh, it's not right now, we can't do this, it's not enough. But here's the thing, we learned from FDR, one of the most popular presidents of all time, that when you actually do bold policies, when you actually deliver the things that the working class American people need, you don't have to worry about ratings. You don't have to worry about whether you're gonna be elected again, because you will be elected again. That's why we have term limits, is because he was so popular. So I really feel that the disconnect between the struggle of the working class and our leadership is really what's gonna put not only the presidency at risk, but also the midterms here for Democrats across the board.
Cenk and Amy, really fast. 4 hours ago, President Biden tweeted this. This is the tweet. I'm doing everything I can on my own to help working families during this stretch of higher prices, and I will continue to do that. But Congress needs to act as well. We can do so much more if we come together to lower costs for American families.
Wow, hard hitting. Which of the 70 came up with that tweet?
Congress, just say Congress in general should come together and help us out, because I'm trying.
Hey, President Biden, do you understand that you're head of the Democratic Party? Like just blaming all of Congress, including your own party? But while true, by the way, one of the rare true things he says doesn't really help. He just will not hit Republicans. If the leader of your party says, I love the other party so much that I will never criticize them, and the other party constantly just absolutely destroying your side, attacking in every imaginable way, that's an uneven playing field. Democrats have no chance at all because their own leader has fallen asleep at the job. And he just loves the other side too much to ever fight for you. And look, we'll skip the video. Biden came out and bragged about the economy for the first time and said, hey, do you guys know that unemployment's actually at a record low? Hey, he finally said it. It only took him 2 years to figure out, yes, you're supposed to make your own case, Joe. Attaboy, right? But no, it's way too little at this point and way too late. Yes, he could still turn around, but he's not gonna turn around at this glacial pace. But the best point was made by Amy. By the way, she's running for Congress in Nevada's 1st district, amyvilela.org, check that out. But look, just pass the damn bills and all your problems go away. On healthcare that Amy mentioned, he said he'd do public option. Shoot, I mean, progressives were trying to get public option done back in 2008, 2009, right? And here we are, decades later, and he's like, no, too soon. But you promised it, and you haven't tried one thing. Lowering drug prices fell on his face as, oh, well, the drug companies are way too powerful, and my Republican colleagues haven't agreed. And if the Republicans don't agree, well, what am I supposed to do, fight them? Yes, Joe, you're supposed to fight them. Maybe I can talk slower so you can understand. Oh, am I offending you? You're offending us by not doing a goddamn thing, including your job. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.